focus. Ideate, innovate, enable. Symphony presents Thinkers of Tomorrow in partnership with News 18 Network.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Symphony Presents Thinkers of Tomorrow in partnership with News 18 Network. I'm your host, Lata Chauhan. According to the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, there are around 63 million MSMEs in India, employing over 110 million people. Tonight, we have the biggest leaders and key stakeholders from the sector who aim to not only highlight the most critical problems being faced by the MSMEs, but also ideate and put forth potential solutions. But before we head into our sessions, following which we will celebrate and felicitate MSMEs who are working tirelessly to foster a culture that is riding on the core pillars of sustainability, inclusion, and employee care, may I welcome Dipankar Datta, Business Head and Vice President, Symphony, onto the stage for his welcome address.
আমরা যেখানে দাঁড়িয়ে রয়েছি as thinkers of tomorrow, that means we are always thinking about the future. And that's where our honorable Prime Minister and our honorable Chief Minister always asks us and guides us to progress. So that's how we are in Thinkers of Tomorrow. I'll just share with you some data which will astonish you. India saw a 55% rise in deaths due to only heat waves between 2000 to 2004 and 2017 to 2021. So you can see 55% rise, and that's done by founded by a recent study published in a medical journal called The Lancet. Now, exposure to heat loss, next is even more dangerous. Exposure to heat loss caused a loss of 167.2 billion potential labor hours. Can you imagine potential labor hours? And that too, not far off. It was in 2021. So 167.2 billion. Do you know what it stands for our Indian GDP? That's a loss of income for 5.4% loss of Indian GDP. So had we harnessed this, just imagine, had we harnessed this, we would have progressed by another additional 5.4% GDP. Of course, India is progressing well, but the onus is on us how to take it forward, because we can't say government is doing this, government should do this, state government should do this, central government, because the stakeholders, we are also our stakeholders, equal stakeholders to get this country going. Now what happens, this unbearable heat results in attrition, results in absenteeism, result in longer breaks in employees. Ultimately, what happens for our MSME sector? It results in loss in productivity, and finally, where we are more concerned, it's a loss in profitability. So in this series of events which we have started across India, Thinkers of Tomorrow, for sending a message to our MSME friends of the concept of sustainability, we thought as brand and category leader, we should recognize those MSME friends and members who have possibly balanced between employee comfort and the environment, but without losing focus on profitability.
Thank you, Mr. Datta, for those insights. Ladies and gentlemen, to deliver tonight's keynote address, we have with us a seasoned business leader with over 25 years of experience in the steel industry. He's responsible for overseeing the operations of Tata Steel's downstream products business. Under his leadership, Tata Steel's downstream products business has undergone significant expansion, both in terms of production capacity and product offerings. He has also led the company's efforts to diversify its customer base and expand its presence in international markets. Please welcome on stage Sandeep Kumar, MD, Tata Steel Downstream Products Limited.
India has over 6 crore MSMEs. So that's the estimate. And the 45% of the total manufacturing output of India is coming from MSMEs. Apparently, this constitutes 30% of GDP, and it employs over 11 crore people. We are in the state of West Bengal. How does West Bengal fare? West Bengal claims that it is number 1 or number 2 in terms of number of MSMEs, and you would have heard, I think, many people from the government saying that. So it is marginally lower than UP as far as the official figures go, at 89 lakhs SMEs. 90% of West Bengal's industrial output comes from MSMEs, and they are employing more than 1 crore of people. So you can imagine the importance of MSMEs to India and to West Bengal in particular. A large portion of the world's labor force, between 50 to 90% in different countries, works in the MSME sector. So that's the importance of MSME sector. But then, post-COVID, in fact before that also, there has been a sluggish productivity growth, which is impacting the GDP of countries, the rate of growth, and that has been one of the major concerns. What does that mean? It means it will lead to lower income growth and increased inequality. And who's the cause for this? Of course, there are various reasons, but some say it is the MSMEs. Why? Now, first of all, what is the number? They say the productivity gap between large firms and MSMEs can vary by as much as a factor of 2. So if large firms have let's say, productivity of 2, then the MSMEs on an average can have as low as 1. So a huge gap. So if you look at it, MSMEs have traditionally played a very significant role in India's economic growth, and I mentioned some of the figures. Why only in India's economic growth? We also talked about the OECD countries. They contribute to employee generation, innovation, I said frugal engineering, and entrepreneurship. The increasing focus on sustainability and environmental protection is going to create new opportunities in renewable energy, waste management, green products, etc. It is up to the MSMEs to capitalize on these emerging opportunities.
What do you see as the primary reason for this robust growth?
One very obvious reason for this robust growth is that we have come out from the COVID period. And obviously things were slow, there was a lot of uncertainty. And thanks to the government of India who came up with this emergency guarantee scheme which Mr. Sandeep was talking about and hinting, which really helped the MSME segment get that enhanced extra finance without any questions asked. So that helped stabilize the MSME segment. And we saw the post-COVID, we saw some unexpected growth coming from a lot of quarters, which was not expected. People were very, very cautious initially, very worrisome how things are going to happen and how things are going to evolve, because it was an unpredictable new future for us. But as things stabilized and we saw demand coming, and we were supported by very strong inflation. I think so inflation leads to higher revenue, and your margins may not expand, but your absolute profits expand. So that also helped. And we had a low interest era coming out, where interest rates came down. So there were a combination of factors which have led.
Change is the only constant, as they say.
Absolutely.
And of course, keeping up with changing times, and whoever aces that race is what we are talking about, where we are leading ourselves into the new world order. Let's talk about some of the challenges. And Mr. Sinha, I want to come to you for that, because credit gap is one common thread that we explored in all the geographies. Whether I was talking to people in the West or in the South or North, everybody said, पैसा जो है वो बड़ी मुश्किल से मिलता है, साफ पैसा बड़ी मुश्किल से मिलता है, ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट वाला पैसा मार्केट से उठाना पड़ता है. So there are a lot of problems when it comes to finance. How are companies like you in your area and line of work seeing this trend? What are the classic challenges that MSMEs are facing today in getting clean, good finance? Is there a lack of it, or is there too much regulatory framework around MSMEs that they do not understand how to navigate through this time?
Oh, thank you for the question, Mugdha, and thank you to everyone here for inviting me. See, I think it's a bit of a chicken and egg, right? MSMEs, by definition, they are small, which is why they're called MSMEs, and they don't have the right scale, they don't have the right investments to make in various productivity tools, etc. And in many cases, it also leads to not so transparent reporting of numbers, governance, etc., which leads to a perception of higher risk. And even if the finance is available, it will come at a cost, because risk is always, you put a price to it. And therefore, MSMEs do not get enough finance, and what they get at high rates, and the cycle continues. In my experience, and I've seen this a little bit firsthand from my previous job, which was at Axis Bank, there are 3-4 very interesting trends that we see. One is this thing called co-lending, which is basically where NBFCs and banks are tying up to come together, especially in terms of financing MSMEs. And the reason this is very interesting is NBFCs come in with a very wide reach, banks come in with a much lower cost of capital. And if you combine these two, it doesn't solve the problem fully, but I think it goes a significant step ahead of what an NBFC could do on its own, or what a bank could do on its own. That is number one. The other thing is a bit of an indirect way to financing. And I've seen this firsthand. It's very, very new thing emerging. It's still not, it's at a pilot stage, still not fully done, is FMCG companies and banks and fintechs and a lot of the retail world, which is the core of the MSME, are coming together using a lot of digital tools, which basically says that there is an application which basically tracks, you take the Kirana store, the logistics, the inventory level, the reorder level, the revenue, the cost, all of that, which gets fed into that ecosystem.
First of all, we talk about green channels, sustainable way of doing business. How can we bridge the gap, bring these two things together, and look at also working with people, for people, and getting work out of them?
Yeah. So first of all, as the panelists said, there will be no choice for either say MSME or a big corporate company with 10,000 crore turnover to move their business towards ESG practice. Right? As per the recent guidelines, the top listed companies have to list their ESG practices, ESG scores. And how are they going to work? They're going to work with their vendors, with their OEM partners to start following those ESG practices. Slowly, gradually, the trickle-down effect is going to come to every small businesses in India. And rather than being scared of it, I think people need to take it and make it their USP. I'll give you a very interesting example. One of our winners from the North round, it's a small boutique hotel in Manali, and they got 2 awards for their ESG and sustainable practices. And they say, we were discussing later, that they don't even serve biscuits, noodles, Maggi, etc. in their hotel, because it comes in a plastic packaging, we increase the plastic footprint. Now, in my comments, I would think, oh, it's creating a lot of inconvenience to the customer. They're saying, but they're booked. But there's a lot of youth who connects to that vision, and we are expanding into one more property now. So don't think that this kind of ESG practice sustainability is going to increase my cost and customer is always asking for price, right? That's always a problem, happens every year.
What can be done? Because in MSMEs, there is a lot of data that is available that is saying that women are falling off the workforce. The number of MSMEs that shut after COVID, a huge percentage of those MSMEs were run by women. Women also face the digital gender divide, wherein they don't have access to smartphones, they don't have access to digital payments, they don't have access to internet. Upskilling is very important. Are other associations like you doing work with women, and how can we bring more women to the workforce?
First of all, in general, most of the women, some are technically sound, that is engineers or MBA like this. Others are medium educated. Others are downtrodden. This category of women exist every state. But how we face them? First of all, the downtrodden area, the less educated, do not know so much thing. They are now going as self-help group. Perhaps you know about the self-help group. Every area in our state and other state also, self-help group is forming and they are getting some support from government also, and they are making some product and that is marketed by them through different channels.
Symphony presents Thinkers of Tomorrow in partnership with News 18 Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the first category of the evening.
Thinkers of Tomorrow in Agriculture and Farming category.
And the winner is Organic Agro India. Moving on to our next category.
Thinkers of Tomorrow in Automobiles and OEM category.
Please put your hands together for the winners of the Thinkers of Tomorrow in Automobiles and OEM category. Traces Technologies Private Limited. Our next category for the evening is
Thinkers of Tomorrow in FMCG category.
And the award goes to Green Origins. Here is the next category of the evening.
Thinkers of Tomorrow in Hotel Chains category.
And the award goes to TD Permaculture Foundation. Moving on, here is the next category of the evening.
Thinkers of Tomorrow in Fashion and Accessories category.
And the award goes to Ode by Ondrilla and Orco. Here is the next category of the evening.
Thinkers of Tomorrow in Retail and E-Commerce category.
And the award in this category goes to Thangching Herbals Enterprises. Moving on, here is the next category of the evening.
Thinkers of Tomorrow in Restaurants and Cloud Kitchens category.
And the award in this category goes to Sky Kitchen Food Tech Private Limited. Moving on, the next category is
Thinkers of Tomorrow in Logistics category.
And the award in this category goes to East Rock Logistics. Our next category is Thinkers of Tomorrow in Education and Training.
Thinkers of Tomorrow in Education and Training category.
And the award in this category goes to Ascensive Educare Limited. Moving on, here is the next category for the evening.
Thinkers of Tomorrow in Special category.
And the award in this category goes to Amast Water Products Private Limited. Well, now that brings us to the biggest award of the night. Let's have a look at the final category.
Thinkers of Tomorrow in Most Promising MSME in East Zone category.
And for the last category, we have two winners for you. So in no particular order, here is the first winner, Green Origins. And the second winner in this category, a huge round of applause for Thangching Herbals Enterprises. Well, heartiest congratulations to all the winners. May I now request all the winners as well as the panelists to please come up on stage for a group photo op.
Symphony presents Thinkers of Tomorrow in partnership with News 18 Network. Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.